With every passing hour, the hopes of finding more survivors from the Asylum seeker boat tragedy north of Christmas Island are diminishing. It's believed more than 200 people were on the boat when it capsized in Indonesian waters. While more than 100 have been rescued, authorities fear up to 90 asylum seekers may have drowned. As political editor Chris Uhlmann reports, there are already questions about how the disaster could have been prevented, and it looks set to reignite the bitter debate over border protection.
The images are seared on the nation's consciousness. In December 2010, an asylum seeker boat was dashed on the rocks of Christmas Island. As many as 50 people drowned. Usually we don't get to see this. When asylum boats go down, it's far from shore, far from help. Like yesterday when a boat carrying more than 200 asylum seekers overturned in heavy seas 200 kilometres northwest of Christmas Island, in international waters designated as Indonesia's search and rescue zone. An Australian border protection plane spotted the upturned hull in the early afternoon. A RAF plane was sent to drop life rafts, 2 patrol boats steamed to the scene, and 4 merchant ships in the area were called to assist. By evening, a Liberian-flagged cargo ship was on site and began plucking survivors from the sea. And early this morning, HMAS Wollongong was delivering them to Christmas Island.
The latest information is that 109 people have been rescued. Those people are either back now at Christmas Island or the rest of them will be back at Christmas Island later this evening. We've got planes in the air right now. What they're telling us is they're still seeing debris out there and life jackets in the water, and unfortunately more dead bodies. The bad news is that throughout the course of the day, unfortunately our search and rescue team haven't found any more survivors as yet.
Do you have any count on the number of dead and the number that can be seen in the water?
Well, they're seeing a number of people in the water. The reports that we're getting back from Christmas Island are that there were about 200 people on this vessel. So we've rescued 109. So that tells us that there are dozens and dozens of people that have potentially perished. We're now getting towards the end of that 36-hour window where there's a chance of finding people still alive. So as every hour passes, the news gets more grim.
So how long will the search continue?
Well, the search will continue tonight and the search will continue tomorrow. The water is about 29 degrees and I'm told that people can survive out there in a sea state like Sea State 3 if they've got a life jacket or they can hold on to a bit of debris. But we're getting past that critical period, so it's going to get harder and harder, but we'll continue searching. Our search and rescue teams will be out there tonight and they'll continue over the course of tomorrow, hoping against hope that they can find more people alive.
But your fear is that 90 or more people might have died.
Well, that's it's looking more and more like that. I think we need to prepare ourselves for the fact that a lot of people have perished.
The boat's first distress call came to the Maritime Authority late Tuesday night, but it gave no location. In the early hours of Wednesday morning, another call came, and the location was given as 70 kilometres south of the Indonesian coast.
The AMSA people on the phone then told the people on the boat to turn back and head back for Indonesia. Unfortunately, what we know now is that they didn't turn back, and as a result headed south towards Christmas Island. We see this unfolding tragedy that's happening in front of us right now.
Australian officials say the boat was dangerously overcrowded, like so many now setting sail, and it's clear the communication between Indonesian and Australian officials was confused. Last night the Indonesians believed 2 boats were in distress.
The Indonesians and Australian authorities were also talking on Sunday night about a boat. There was a bit of confusion about whether this was the boat that has capsized. The latest advice, Chris, I've got is that that's not the case. The boat that they were in discussions about on Sunday was a boat that arrived at Christmas Island on Wednesday of this week.
Border protection's been the most bitterly fought battle in politics for the last 3 years. Ironically, both major parties now agree that only the strong deterrent of offshore processing will stop people making the dangerous journey by sea. But they just can't agree on how that should work. Today, the message from both leaders was the same. They wouldn't have a political brawl while the rescue was underway.
We do face considerable loss of life at sea, but a search and rescue operation is underway right now. It is still possible for people to have survived and be in the water.
Our deepest sympathies have to be with everyone involved and caught up in this tragedy, and our support and encouragement for all the rescue personnel who are doing their best to minimise loss of life. A terrible, terrible tragedy, and our hearts go out to everyone affected by it.
But some believe this tragedy is a sign of abject policy failure, and they did want to talk about it.
Let's show some humanity and grow up.
West Australian Liberal MP Mal Washer is demanding the major parties reach a border protection agreement in the national interest and to save lives.
I feel ashamed to be part of this organisation at the moment. Not my party, part of the whole concept. It's going to the lesson, it's the lesser common denominator here. It's a dumb and dumber competition, right? Let's get better.
It's estimated that more than 270 people have died at sea on their way to Australia in the last 2 years. But no matter how passionate the plea for a bipartisan border protection settlement, it's hard to see how the major parties can reconcile on this. And don't expect the political truce to survive the weekend. Parliament will resume on Monday, and with it, politics as usual.